What's up, everybody? This is actually going to be kind of a double intro for this video, if you will. This is kind of me in the present, and the video is more from the past. But I just wanted to get on and talk about some things. Start off with the last video. I rolled over 1,000 subscribers, so that has always been a goal for me. And thank you all for the subscriptions and those who continuously watch my videos. It means a lot to me. I know I'm not that big a YouTuber, but I try to produce content that I would like, and I hope that other people would like as well. So thank you again. You guys are all awesome, and thank you for the comments and the feedback. I like it all, whether it's good or bad. You can learn from bad if you take it with the right mindset, I believe. So thank you guys. And then I'd also like to kind of talk about what's been going on in the world. We are in the middle of this coronavirus scare. Things are kind of crazy. We're living through history right now. These are things that people are going to talk about for kind of generations. Like, remember the coronavirus scare and everything that happened. I know people are going crazy. Things are happening that people never thought they'd have to live through with today's technology. But I know that people are losing their jobs. We're having to stay home. For us, we're kind of lucky because we have a 300-acre ranch that we can stay home on, quarantine ourselves on, and we have this ranch and shop that we can do whatever we want with. But for people that are kind of in the cities and stuck inside their homes, it's a big change for everybody. So just continuously to focus on the good in the world. It's not all bad. Continuously try to help people and look out for ways that you can help people, even though we're kind of supposed to keep our distance. But there's ways that you can continuously help people by having a positive attitude, or maybe calling up your friend, calling up family members, have a chat with people that you haven't talked for a while with. There are good that can come from this. We can take this time to better ourselves. We can take this time to learn something new. If you still have a job that you haven't lost, figure out ways that you can better yourself to be better for that job when you come back. Or if you have lost your job, think of ways that you can better yourselves so that when the time comes, you will be able to get a job. If you have a skill that you want to get better at, do it. With this video, I'm wearing my Subaru harness in this video. I know these videos don't get a lot of views, but it's something that I wish I could have had when I was building my car. And so if I can even help a few people say, oh, this video made that easier for me to do, that's why I do them. I enjoy teaching people and I enjoy learning. So that's why I kind of started this channel. I wanted to show people what I do, and I want to show people that, hey, you don't have to be a professional to build something. You can learn along the way. You won't have the prettiest welds, you won't be stacking dimes, but hey, everyone started somewhere and you are getting better as you go along. So thank you all. I appreciate you. I just want to tell everyone to stay positive. This will pass. And thank you all for watching my videos. I'll kind of end this so it doesn't get too long, but let's just keep going, and together we can all pass this.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm here working on the Subaru. We're going to continue on the wiring harness. So I'll show you what I'm up to. So now that I have the harness routed the way that I want it, it's time to start hooking things up. I'm going to start here on the side with my coil packs. Instead of having the coil packs up on the side like I had before, I'm going to put them down here just so it kind of looks like a cleaner engine bay from looking from in front of the car. So what I'm going to do is build a bracket that can get bolted down with these two bolt holes, and the coil packs will sit in here like so. Something like that. So they're going to sit down flush like that, and then I will have the plug wires going through like so. So I'm going to start on the bracket. and then I can wire up the coils. So I got my coil pack bracket all made up. Bolts aren't tight, but that's where it's going to sit. So I think what I'm going to do is just start on this side and just hook things up and finish over here. So starting with the coils, I'll kind of quickly discuss how to hook them up. Pretty straightforward. Your specific coil wire coming from the ECU goes in each individual coil, and then they all need a power wire, which will come from the power wire we routed for it, and then your grounds can all tie together. These coils they're supposed to have a ground that goes to the block and as well as a ground that goes to the ECU, but you do not have to have that ground go to the ECU. It will work properly without it. So I just have them tying into this common ground, and I have it coming up through here and grounding at the manifold right there. So have the coils all wired and hooked up. Everything worked out good and looks good. We are now moving on to the wideband sensor. The plug is here. I'm actually going to cut this one off and put a new one on I have over here. The wideband is it can vary depending on which wideband you have, but pretty simple. You have a power wire, you have signal wires. I have the LC1, Innovate LC1, and this has two outputs. So there's one that goes to the gauge and one that goes to the ECU. Something I learned, if you want them to read the same, actually tee these together here so that it is coming out of one output from the wideband, if that makes sense, so that it's getting the same signal instead of having an output 1 go to one thing and output 2, because with me they read differently, and then research online and people said to just tee the ones together going to so that you're only using one output from the wideband. So tee these together, run my power wire, run my ground, and the LC1 has a calibration ground, so I'll have to remember which one is that. Yeah, so get that done and move on. So So I got my wideband connection done. It's right there. Moving on to the next one, which will be grounds. These grounds here, these are the ECU grounds that go to the engine. So they'll be going to the manifold right here. So I'm gonna have to put the manifold on to do that. And then next I will move on to the crank and oil pressure sensor. All right, I got the intake manifold on. I did the grounds, which go to this bowl here. I did the throttle position sensor, which plugs in here, and the idle air control valve, which plugs in here. So just to cover how this is wired in, if you look at the sensor, I don't know if you can see it, but it has an A, B, and on the back side it has a C. Those are the wires. A wire is 5-volt reference, B is sensor ground, and then C is your signal. So that's pretty easy to do. This idle air control valve is a stepper motor, a 4-wire stepper motor. So judging by how you wire it in, you will have your idle air control 1A, idle air control 1B, and then idle air control 2A and idle air control 2B. To determine how you wire those up, because there's two different ways, you take your sensor and you run your ohm meter across the two center plugs, two center pins, and if you get a 50 ohm resistance, then you wire it one way, and if you don't, you wire it the other. So you're just gonna have to do that on your own and then figure out how to wire it from there. So I think I'm done with everything that I need the manifold on for. So I'm going to take it off and then continue over and start with my coolant sensors and work my way over to my coils. And then I'll come back over here and wire in my speed sensor and then over to my relays, which will be over there. So getting closer.
All right, guys, so I have all of my wiring done that I needed with the engine in the car. So I'm gonna go through real quick and kind of explain what I have here and what I have left. I guess starting here and going down the line. This is my pins and connector of all the things that I didn't use in my harness. I did this like I did before so that I can build a harness from here and add things later on down the road without having to take my harness apart. This connector will always be here and I can just plug straight into it. Then we go on down the road. See a better view. This little pin here, single wire. This is my temperature gauge in the cluster. This wire goes straight up to the cluster and tells your coolant temperature. Below it is the ECU coolant temperature. You just take your coolant temp wire and a ground wire and you are good there. Next we have, I have not done it, but this is my intake air temperature sensor. I have not done it because I don't know where my sensor is going to be because I haven't built my coolant pipe yet. So, but I can do that later quickly. Have my injectors done. I have not done my coil packs on this side because once I remove the engine, I'm going to be cutting out the battery tray so that I can mount my coils there. So I'll do that later. Then we move up here. We have the vehicle speed sensor. That is a ground, a power, and a signal wire. The signal I have going to the ECU and going up to my gauge cluster so that my speedometer works. And then coming up, follow the wires over, and this is where my relay is. I have them already. I'm going to be 3D printing a box to put this in. Here we have my fans, coils, because I had a I did a individual relay for my coils since they draw a lot of power. And then this is for my secondary fuel pump for when I go big boy power. Relays are quite simple once you figure them out. I have my power coming from the battery that goes to the back here, and then it comes out the front, and then on the sides you have a power ground that turns on, and that flips a switch which makes your power go through the relay. So how I did this is I have my power coming in, and then my ground is actually a ground from the ECU, so then I can tell it when to come on in the ECU. So I think that is pretty much everything that I need to cover. So I think I can throw my manifold on here, get my intercooler pipe built, and then I'm ready to pull the engine. So I think that's where I'm going to end this one. Thank you all for watching. If you haven't yet, subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Peace.